Alright guys, so this video is going to be extremely different from most videos that I release on this channel. Now don't worry, it's not anything political or anything, but it is still kind of reaching back into your childhood. Now, for anybody that's a subscriber here that's under the age of 20 or 22 like myself, yes guys, once again I just turned 22 in February, but the person that's the subject of this video is somebody that educated and more importantly comforted and inspired the world for 50 years, actually for 30, 40 years throughout his entire career, and the TV show just celebrated its 50th anniversary a few months ago. Now, unfortunately, the guy I'm speaking of, guys, is of course Fred Rogers, or as he was known to millions of people around the world for, like I said, 34 years and 50 years ago this year. Mr. Rogers unfortunately died back in 2003 of stomach cancer. But I just watched a video on the topic saying, basically talking about how still having friend around or somebody like Mr. Rogers could possibly make the world a more understanding and I guess you could say a more balanced place of the world. Now guys, without getting too political or too serious here, my short answer is yes. I do think the world would benefit from having Mr. Rogers. Of course, he would be in his very elder years, even if he was still here. But yes, I think the world needs that kind of aura of somebody that is always going to, no matter what their actual belief system, is always going to be there to as sort of a beacon of light to sort of not only educate the young generation of today, but also educate and comfort the world and help us understand situations or offer up perspectives on situations that you can make other people understand. Now, for those of us that again are in our teens or early 20s or even our parents, or just in general, guys, if you have ever seen an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, or not even that, even if you ever had the chance to see Fred in person or on PBS, I do think the world needs somebody that was just like Mr. Rogers. somebody that was truly always there to offer up his own private perspective on the world, but also to be there to comfort not just young kids, but just to be there for the world and explain things to us in the genius and I must say grandfather figure-like way that Mr. Rogers always could. I guess the take-home message with this, guys, is obviously we can't get Mr. Rogers back, but who knows? Maybe if more people would go back to what he tried to show us and apply more principles of what Mr. Rogers always believed in, which was to always be there to comfort, understand, and teach others, but always do it not as any overwhelming power, but just as Fred introduced every single episode of the neighborhood, which is, hey neighbor, and again, guys, that's also the beauty of what Fred was able to do, because in every single episode, or throughout his entire life, I don't think he saw anybody that ever watched his show or ever came up to him for advice as a person. I think he generally saw us as all neighbors, and I do think something like that in the world is needed. So guys, obviously it's not physically possible to get Mr. Rogers back, but in the long run, I do think we could use them, because as we all know, the world could use some guidance right now.